Welcome in, guys, to the Wedge Adjustment NASCAR DFS show. I'm your host, Josh Neal. You can follow me on Twitter at RotoRacer. I'm joined alongside, as always, by PJ Frappier. You can follow him on Twitter at PJFrapDFS. And last week, oh my gosh, talk about nailing it, PJ. Call it. Denny Hamlin won at New Hampshire. Had PJ looking like a genius. We'll talk about that here in a second. But, I mean, for all of us over there at Fantasy Degens, a lot of green screens, had a GPP winner again. I think that's like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So you're missing out if you're not on the team already. So, yeah, that's about all I can say. Another successful weekend. We're on a roll right now. I've had 4 good weeks in a row, hoping to build on a 5th. And I think we got some good stuff for you guys today. It's obviously going to be a different race. Strategy is going to come into play here a little bit more than it did last week and the weeks before that. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's one of those that it might not be the most entertaining race, to watch necessarily for 30, 40 laps. But when these guys start pitting at the end of these segments, that's where it's going to get good because you're going to get guys going from the back to the front to the back. It's going to be some good racing there for, a couple laps. And I think I'm going to quit ranting here, but it's going to be a good race, I think, good overall race. So that being said, it is the Brickyard 400. The segments are 50, 50, and 60. So obviously 160, not that many laps. So you're going to want more place differential. You're going to want maybe to nail 1 to 2 dominators. Just a couple of theories. We're going to talk about strategy here in a second as well. But to start out, I'm going to let PJ talk about his Denny Hamlin play, the sweat he had, and just all the feedback we've gotten. Because I'll tell you what, the YouTube, we had some good comments there. And on Twitter, it was overwhelming. And all the guys over there at Fantasy Degens, I mean, it was real exciting. And I got to give him credit. He had a better week than I did. And, I think he'll tell you here in a second how his weekend was. So go ahead and take that away.
Yeah, no, it was good. And I mean, watching the show back, when you asked me how many laps he was going to lead and when, I never answered you, and I was literally going to say the last 50. And I'm even more mad that I didn't say that, because then it would have been like over the top, right? And that would have been even sweeter. But I mean, it was good. And everybody at Fantasy Degens, I don't know if you guys had checked out the article, but Rob had posted an article. Over $20,000 won
Crazy
in NASCAR GPPs this weekend. So, or last weekend, excuse me. So, it's been on fire. Everything has been really, really good. And I just had a feeling on Denny Hamlin, and he came in at 12%.
Yeah.
And like, when I saw that number, I was very excited. And early on, he was running good. Took a little fortune, to get up there. But it happened. He ran away 5 more laps. Larson probably would have got him, but
yeah.
301, it wasn't 306. So
how much percent did you have at Denny Hamlin, just to let these people know?
Yeah, I had 45% Denny Hamlin. So
that's a good bit
tripled
in the field. So
yeah, tripled. I mean, I had said it in Slack chat. So I'm going to have way overweight on Denny Hamlin, and
I think a lot of us thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
And I said last week on the show I didn't think it was a crazy move, but the more I thought about it later on, I was like, man, how can he play Denny Hamlin? Sure enough, I ate my own words, and I got to give credit to you. You made me shut my mouth, and it's just huge props because we've had a couple bold calls here, but I think this one, last week's show couldn't have fallen any better because we nailed what happened with Kyle Busch and all those other guys and Kyle Larson and Truex. It was just all good, and everything fell into play like it should. And
right,
like I said, a lot of people.
And the thing too, like outside of Neal and Denny, and I said in the Slack too, my favorite stack was the Larson, Truex, and Denny. And to get them 1, 2, 3, I'm from New Hampshire. I'm very familiar with the track, and to nail it at New Hampshire was
That's pretty
cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're going to continue our little story time. It's going to be something new we're going to try out this week. Give us give us your guys' feedback in the comments and on Slack if you're with Fantasy Degens. We want to get your feedback, and we're trying different stuff, obviously. We try new stuff every now and then, but obviously if you guys don't like it, we switch it up and so on. But we're going to talk about the big news in NASCAR this week, and that's Alex Bowman. He will replace Dale Jr. for the 88. And, if you guys know me, which if you're watching the show, you probably follow me on Twitter or whatever, but I was very excited for this, and I honestly thought, Ryan Blaney was setting up. If it wasn't Bowman, I thought it was going to be him or Kenseth. The days went on, and, I figured, if they was going to name Bowman, they had already done it, but obviously I eat my words again. But I got to give props to him. I'm not sold on him, but he did nothing but impress last year. I obviously would rather prefer William Byron. I took Kenseth and put Byron in the rod, which I think we both feel like Byron's going to be headed to the 5 if he keeps doing this stuff. So I got to give huge props to him. He definitely drove his butt off, and he deserves it. I mean, he's not had the greatest equipment, when he came in. He had Tommy Baldwin. He had BK Racing. He's had a tough run, but at age 24, his career took a good turn, and I'm very excited for him. Anytime a guy like this gets an opportunity, I think we should see more of these. But, it just shows you if you get the right opportunity and you take advantage of it, this can happen. So, got to give all the credit in the world to him, and I wish him the best of luck. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, 100%. I'm really happy to see that he got this ride, starting with, Tommy Baldwin stuff and kind of running in the back. But he never really tore up equipment. He went with the track, went to the track with an expectation of where the car everybody thinks it should finish, and he would just try to do a little bit better than that. He wasn't trying to go out and set the world on fire because you just can't in that equipment. Very similar to somebody that I know very well who just had an opportunity and just took advantage of his opportunity, in Ryan Preece. He ran last year for JD Motorsports in the Xfinity Series. Not even many people know about that. It's the 0-1 car, if you didn't know. Hardly any sponsors on the car, but guess what? It got him track time, and then he's there and ready for when he gets that Gibbs ride, and he finishes second to Kyle Busch. And the other thing with Bowman is he's already under contract with Hendrick. He is the one that is doing all their simulator testing throughout the week.
A lot of people do not know that, so I think that really gave him a heads up to start out.
There's no doubt. He knows the ins and outs of the organization. He's in there every day. He's getting stuff and information for guys like Junior and Jimmie Johnson. That's who they are trusting to give them information. So, to me, this was a no-brainer. He took a risk because I'm sure he could have been in a low to mid-level ride already at this point, like Ryan Preece, because Ryan had money to run probably 8 to 10 mid-level Xfinity races throughout the year. Instead, he chose to go with 2 Gibbs races. To me, it's a no-brainer because if you then perform in that, you're there. And the whole thing with Kenny Wallace sent out, his tweet where it's all the car. It's not all the car. It's really not. I obviously respect Kenny Wallace. He's raced at the highest level. He's still racing, still killing it on dirt, everything. But, I don't know if he literally meant it like that, but it's all a team. I tweeted this out earlier this week. I've seen numerous guys just destroy, the best equipment because they could not drive a lick. And I've also seen a ton of guys take crap equipment and finish in the front. It takes everything. Even the race that I was watching on Wednesday night, the Super Late Model Nationals from Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts, they have a kid there that is I won't say his name, but he's a Toyota Racing Development driver. Best equipment that you could have, lapped 5 times in a 200-lap race.
That goes to show you right there.
It takes everything. Everything just has to come into place, and I think this is a great opportunity for Bowman. And he proved it last year. All these guys saying, he can't drive, he's overrated. No, you have no idea. Let's let it play out. It's only a year contract. It's not like
Yeah.
Hendrick is stupid and giving him
That's a good point right there, too.
5 to 6 years. It's like a year contract. If you got it, you got it. And here it is. I mean, they're going to have to bridge the gap anyways with Junior. And it's not like they don't have plenty of talent coming up in the pipeline here.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to prove it. So if he can do it, he's got to do it right away. But it's awesome that he gets a chance.
I think Nationwide is signed through the end of 18, and so is Exalta. So really, if he does perform, there's no reason why he won't get an extension, and on he goes.
Yeah.
I think he will. I think, you can't do any worse than Junior's doing right now. So anything more positive than that. Obviously, Junior's had bad luck, but I do think a new face into the organization, just a new start for them, I think it's what they need. So we'll see what happens. But here we go. If you guys are tuned in for the fantasy picks and you didn't care what we said, this is what you're here for, and we're going to start it. As we normally do, we're going to do our salary. And to start out, I'm just going to say this. I said it at Pocono. These guys from Corey LaJoy, I mean, you can even go to Cole Witt. I'm not playing Cole Witt anymore. He's blown engines like 3 weeks in a row at 5,600. But, 5,500 to 4,500, I'm not playing them. I may have some interest in Yaley or someone like that. Maybe Castle. I forget where they're qualified at real fast. But if I have to, if I'm playing 20 GPP lineups, they might sneak into one or two just because there's other guys. But looking here at starting lineup, Castle 31, Yaley 33, I think that's enough for me to say no. And I know PJ feels the same way, so we're not going to waste your guys' time. No, it's one of these where you need horsepower, and if your engines suck like Cole Witt's, they're going to blow up, and that's all you need to know right there. So
pretty much.
We'll move on from that, and we'll start talking about our picks here. So this range is going to start Cole Witt at 5,600, but obviously I just said don't play him. If you play him, then he's going to be in the garage. Pretty confident in that. But basically starting at David Reagan at 5,800 and working our way up to Ricky Stenhouse at 7,000. I'm going to let PJ kick it off here with his first pick.
Yeah, it's going to be Eric Almirola at 6,100, starting 29. It's just simple as he has a better car than a 29th place car. These guys in qualifying, majority of them were absolutely out of control, like sideways. So, and I kind of mentioned it too earlier, at least in the DGen Slack chat, is the amount of practice that they've had. It was all this morning. This morning at 9 a.m. they're practicing. It's cold. It's cloudy. It's going to be 90 degrees. The sun beating down on the track. It's going to be a totally different race. So I'm not so concerned with the lack of speed, with the qualifying mistakes or anything like that. It just comes down to he's much better than 29. And that's really as simple as it is. I don't think I need to really get into numbers. It's just he's going to –
this is a no-brainer pick.
It really is. Yeah. That's literally all I have to say. Like, he's just better. Like, Bain, to me, is going to fall back. McDowell, Benedetto. Like, what else? I don't know. I'm
going to add to the Almirola. So I see a lot of people interested in Menard, and I've got to touch on him because I've talked so much trash about him here in the past couple of weeks with his contract situation and all that BS. I'm tired of hearing about it. But Paul Menard, he started 17th. For me, he started 13th at Pocono. He teased us a little bit, and we thought, he's going to have speed. But obviously, 13th, you would think that's way too high. It's 4 spots farther back. I understand he's won here. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know. I'm going to have very little. Like I was saying earlier in the DGen Slack chat, I'm going to cover my bases, possibly 5-10%, nothing more than that. I'm not really – he's – the RCR team, and I know PJ's not going to be happy with my comment here, but the horsepower They've showed it in qualifying. I do understand that. And that's going to lead me to talking about Austin Dillon here in the next section, or touching base on him. But before this, New Hampshire's not really that good of a track to base on. But before that, man, you look at them, they were all chalky, a month ago, and they were not coming out in the top 20. Maybe if they did pit strategy or something. But it's just so big of a track, and if you don't have horsepower, you're going to fall behind very fast. So while he does make sense, he's got the track history, and this is his best track. So if you were ever going to go overweight on him or anything, which you can't do where he starts, this is his best track. So I understand the play, track history-wise and all that. I really do. And qualifying, they seem to qualify pretty good. So I'm just saying, this is me. I obviously get out of hand with these bold calls. But for me, 5 to 10%, do not get over 20%. I know some people are going to like it more than I am, but just go Almirola. Please do. I mean, if you have to pick two in this range, I prefer Danica. Don't remind me that I said that 2 weeks in a row, but I prefer Danica. I think she's a lot for a top 20. She's going to get, I think, a little bit more place difference. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
So moving on to my pick after ranting about Paul Menard, which I didn't plan on, but I had to get it in there, is A.J. Allmendinger. So I was talking earlier in the Slack with one of the guys, and we was talking about Allmendinger. And this has been a strategy of mine. You talk about Larson, being in the back so many weeks. But these chalk plays, I talk about it a lot. I'm a big Chrome Horn, the $4 20 entry max guy. That's been the contest I've been hammering home the past couple of weeks. And I've noticed the ownership, and I know it's the same in others, but if you get Kyle Larson at 60% and he starts dead last, I go 100%. It's helped me out here in the past 4 weeks. If I know a guy's going to be 60%, that's 40% advantage I have. I know I touched base on it last week. I'm going to touch base on it again. A.J. Allmendinger obviously isn't Kyle Larson. He's probably got higher odds to wreck or have some mechanical problem or any of that stuff. But he starts 39th. This guy is probably a lock for top 25. He does have background with this track. He's an open-wheel guy. He's raced the Indy 500. This is a track that, has been decent for him in the past. It's not been one of his better ones, but I do think he's got enough for a top 25 and even a top 20. So, I mean, it just makes so much sense for me. Personally, I'm telling you guys this, I will be 100% on A.J. Allmendinger if he wrecks. He starts 39th. It's obviously not going to kill your lineups, but it's not going to win you a GPP like you're aiming for. So I'm willing to take that risk. I've had some pretty damn good weeks lately, so I'm going to roll it out again. I'm not changing my strategy at all. I'll change it when it bites me in the butt, and if it bites me in the butt this week, then I'll change it up. But I'm going to keep riding the wave, and that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. On we go. Chris Buescher, surprisingly enough. 6,600 this week, starting 26th. Last year, again, surprisingly, finished 14th here.
Yeah, it's very surprising.
I know. It's just on a week where you're going to need place differential, finishing position. You're going to want to get lower owned guys. That is a little expensive for me on Chris Buescher. It's more expensive than Danica, than Paul Menard, than Almirola. Even, Ty Dillon's right above him and Allmendinger's right above him. So I just don't think that anybody will really, really click on Chris Buescher. And if he ends up in the top 20, just in the top 20, that's still a very solid day at low ownership. So for me, it's an ownership play. I'm almost completely throwing practice out of the window this week. Like, I don't even really need a whole lot of numbers, to back up what I'm saying, because it's just a week where, the pitch strategy is going to be insane. The field is just going to get flipped and flipped and flipped. I mean, obviously, depending on yellows, but you can pit here without losing a lap. So guys in the late teens, early 20s on the lead lap. Well, I mean, I think it's 9 or 10 seconds behind the leader, you're going to lose that lap. So maybe not that far back, but right on that edge.
Yeah.
They're going to pit, and then it's just they're going to, depending on how many hit, we'll see. But it's still going to get all jumbled up. I like Buescher at really low ownership.
Yeah, like I'll just add to that. You're going to pick Allmendinger. I would assume you're going to pick Dillon before him. I know people are going to pick Menard before him, Patrick before him, Almirola before him. So that's the guy right there. If you're thinking about this is a GPP lineup and who's going to have lower ownership, Chris Buescher, other than McDowell, Reagan, the guys we talked about, Reagan might even have more ownership than him. So
Seriously,
that's the guy in that range. They're like, that's the risky, but if you want to win a GPP, that's the guy who could, like you said, 14th last year. So
if he does that again at low ownership, that is exactly what it'll take to win. I mean, look at last week. The only reason that I didn't have a perfect lineup was I didn't play Suarez.
Yeah,
and that was the thing.
Yeah.
It was a low-owned play who ended up with a good finishing position, obviously, some place differential. It's exactly what this play is to me.
I would agree with that. Very sneaky play. I think he's always a sneaky play, but this is a good track for him. So
yes.
We're on both JTG guys this week, and I think it's very, very good. So moving on to my next guy, as I just mentioned, is Todd Dillon. 6,800. I mean, this guy continues to define the odds. I wasn't a big fan of him before the season. This guy's probably going to be a little higher owned. I know a couple other guys in the industry love him, so he's probably going to be a little bit higher owned than he should be. But, I'm fine with it. He starts 28th. He's a really good play. I think he's a lock for – I can't say a lock, but I think he's going to be roaming around that 20th position all day long. So if he can keep it clean and, if my theory is wrong and RCR does pump up the horsepower, he could sneak a top 15 or something in there. But I'd be highly shocked if just all of a sudden they catch us off guard. But I think he's going to come around 20th. And at that price, like PJ was talking about, if he comes near there, that's solid value. And obviously anything above that, that's going to be really good. So personally, I like him as a play. But since the industry, I do think is probably going to be a little bit higher on than it's probably going to be what I want to play him at. So for me, I'm going to bump it down a couple of notches. And I'm not saying it's a horrible play, and I'm not saying you guys should do that. It's just one of them game theory and trying to predict ownership top plays. So he's a good play. Play him. Do not fade him. He starts 28th. What more do you need? It's like Almirola. But Obviously, we all like Almirola before him. So moving on to the next range, and this is we were talking about before the show. This range is so tricky for me. There's obviously very sneaky guys in here, very debatable guys in here. And I'm going to let you kick it off. And I think, both of your guys in this section are going to be super sneaky. And I think a lot of people will go away from them, which they shouldn't, because this kind of track is what they love.
Yep.
I know one guy in particular you're going to talk about him here in a sec. I'm just going to let you go ahead and talk about him and let me shut up because I'm in the mood to rant. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I started all the ranting with the Bowman stuff, but no. So the ranges is Trevor Bayne 7,100 up to Ryan Blaney 8,900. Yeah. The first guy that I'll touch on is going to be Junior 8,200 starting 13th. I like Junior a ton. He's won the 500. This is the second biggest race. Well, debatable. I think it's the second biggest race in NASCAR. Could be the Coke 600. Man, we'll see.
I think it used to be. I think it's starting to lose a little bit of its.
I agree. But I think they're going to do everything in his power to get him a win at this place, his last time here. And I'm not just saying that. Like, he has been saying it now for all day today that they're much better in race trim. He clearly messed up his qualifying run, said it in an interview right after that he got tight in turn 1, went real easy into turn 2. Turns out he didn't have to, and there was the difference. I think Blaney beat him 0.04 or something for 12th. And he said he had a much better car than 12th, and they'll have something for them, for tomorrow. And I know that's not all driver talk, because not that I'm rating practice all that high, but he was decent again. And it's just one of those things where they are going to do everything gambling-wise.
They're going to be one of these guys that jump up there and try something new from the start.
This is like Ricky Bobby type stuff. If you ain't first, you're last with him. Like, until the playoffs start, he's going to have to. It's impossible for him to point in at this point. So, like I said last week, just get your fair share of him every week until the chase, because if not, you're just going to kick yourself, because one of these weeks very well could be the week he's just going to pop off. Like, it's these type of tracks too.
The next 2 weeks is going to be Poconos next week. So I know he had shifting issues, but as PJ pointed out earlier to me, that this track you don't really have to shift. It's all full throttle and and again, to add to his point, this guy's a master at not – if Daytona you don't use your brake, Talladega you don't use your brake. This is a guy that put the pedal to the floor. He's a pure racer, so I like him. He's going to be – you're never going to get Junior at less than 20%,
Probably not.
But I think if you don't have him, you're asking for trouble, because I think he can sneak a top 5. I really do. I like his speed a lot. And I don't think a lot of these top-notch DFS guys will pick him. So I think, if you're just an average player, this is a very good great GPP play. We talk about it in this range every single week. This range is, if a guy performs for you in this range and sneaks a top 5, it was Daniel Suarez last week.
Yep.
If Dale Jr. does that this week, he's going to be in the winning lineup. So I do think, like he was touching on earlier, I do think he's going to be one of these guys that rolls the dice, and tries to beat Kyle Busch anyhow, either way. So
yeah,
I like him a lot. You like him a lot, and nothing to disagree about right there. My selection here for my first pick here is actually Daniel Suarez. So for me, I was very shocked at him last week. I decided to get a little bit more lineups with him in there last week near lock, but obviously wasn't expecting that. That was just more just covering my bases in that range, and it's in payoff. But this week, he starts 15th, and like I just pointed out, the 10 through 20 starting range is where most of the GPPs are won. You're going to have one guy that crushes and the others just disappoint, or you could have 2 or 3. Who knows? I think this week could be 2 or 3. And as I pointed out earlier, I may be doing, more place differential this week just because it's going to be so crazy. Who knows what's going to happen? So for me, Daniel Suarez, the Toyotas are super fast. You look at Kyle Busch, you look at Denny Hamlin, you look at Matt Kenseth, Truex, Eric Jones, list goes on and on. If you can like I said earlier, put the pedal to the metal, keep going. He's got the horsepower. He's got the speed. For me, I think he's a top 10 driver this week. I know I was on him a couple weeks ago and I said that. He had his moments. Yeah, I know. But for me, he's got the speed. There's not much more you can say. I say these The crappy guys, they don't have speed. This guy has a speed. I like him a whole lot more than Menard. Obviously, we can't compare the two price differential. But it's JGR. It's Toyota. They are going to be the ones you got to contend with this week to get this win.
Yeah.
So it makes so much sense to me. And he's 7,800. You got a JGR driver 7,800. Tell me if I'm wrong, but that's great value, what he can do. So I like him a lot more than I would other weeks. So I'll have 15, 20% of him this week.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. He also messed up in his qualifying lap, and he was well in the green, and then just turn 4, he killed him. So I do like that. Next guy we're going to go with is Clint Bowyer, starting 18th, 8,600. Absolutely horrid today, all day today. Horrible. First practice, couldn't even make it out of 3 and 4 without almost losing it after one lap. They did it again, and then they did it again, and then they messed up qualifying really badly. So they're chasing it a little bit. However, this is one of Clint Bowyer's best tracks, and it's not really being talked about. An average finish of 13th roughly here, 11 starts, 10 top 20s. And that's in the crap equipment that he was in too. Yeah. That's RCR and the crap. So it's like, now he's in, so obviously Stewart-Haas equipment, and I don't see how he doesn't move up. Obviously not getting wrecked or anything like that. A clean race, no penalties, blah, 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 blah. Again, it's just they're way better than 18th. He's way better than 18th. And I don't think anybody's going to play him. So that's another reason why I really like him, because he's pretty damn expensive for Clint Bowyer. So I like it.
Me too. I think both of your guys are excellent GPP plays this weekend. And we're going to talk about my next guy, Erik Jones. I think me and PJ are on him. If one of us ain't on him, the other guy is. This is normally the Erik Jones show at this point in the segment. For me, the other guys in this range, my guy Ron Blaney, who is going to be very sneaky, I think. I like Erik Jones. He starts one place lower than or higher in terms of that. Not Blaney starts 10th. He's also $400 cheaper. I think he's got a little bit more speed. Obviously we're not going to rate practice, but I do feel like the Toyotas are going to be the fastest in, the rain, sleet, snow, or hell. So starting not – ultimately I think for this play to work, he needs a top 5, and that maybe pushed it just a tad. But I think he can go up there, and, if he does decide to go off strategy, I think we've seen it at Pocono, or I think it was Pocono he led laps. He got off strategy. Kyle Busch, I think maybe had some problems or something. He led laps, and that was the week he was like 13th or 14th, and we were hammering him home. So he's got the speed, and I can't stress that enough. He looks better in Truex this week. I like him a whole lot more. We'll touch base on Truex here in a minute, but he's going to go under on. Starting 9th, people are going to look at him. They're going to see Ryan Blaney's got to win. They're going to see – I don't know. I really don't know. I think he may be in this range, 8,500, where people are going to try to go up there to the top range, sneak some guys in the 7,000s, and they may forget about, Erik Jones, Clint Bowyer. I think so. While this is not a great play, it might not even be a good play. This is an ownership game theory top play. And again, like I said earlier, I'm covering my bases. I'm playing this similar to a plate track, not completely the same, but I'm going to cover my bases. And obviously, I understand if you guys don't have the bankroll to do this or not, don't play him if you're playing 3 lineups. I don't think the odds are with him in that case.
Right.
But I think it just makes so much more sense, if you max enter the arcade or something like that. Just cover your bases. Make sure you get 1 or 2 lineups with him in there, or one lineup. That's good enough. just in case, he does get off sequence, because he starts not – I can easily see him getting in the top 5 early, and if they do decide to dive down pit road and get, if they're by Kevin Harvick or one of these other guys, they could come out first in segment 2 and lead and lead and lead. So anything is possible here. I can't stress that enough, with the strategy. So I think that's enough on him. I'm going to let you – I think we're done with that segment, correct?
We are, but I got one comment, because this is typically the Ryan Newman section of the show, but I'm off him this week.
Surprise.
Starting too high up. That's all I got.
I mean, they blew my mind when I seen that, because I
disappointing.
Didn't get a chance to watch him in qualifying. I didn't get a chance to watch any of them, but when I seen all these guys qualify up there, I was shocked. So
the first time all year, I'm not going to have him. I will not play him in one lineup.
And watch him pull something crazy out.
Nah.
He's got to win, so he may be one of those guys at the end that rolls the dice. So who knows?
Yeah. Hey, he could be. But
it's not optimal. So we are not saying play. Just to emphasize this, I'm not saying play Ryan Newman. He does have a win, and anything is possible. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
No, that's about it. So we're going to move on to our last section, starting with Joey Logano at 9,100, up to Truex at 10,600. So obviously covers the rest of the drivers. Most of the guys that you're going to have, well, not that you want to, but that you have to get right if you're going to win anything. So first guy I'm going to start with is going to be Kyle Busch. Pole sitter.
Lay the fire to us.
10,500. And I will be very much underweight on him. I know most people are going to hammer him home. He annihilated qualifying. He was 0.3 faster than Harvick, which is pretty much unheard of at this point in NASCAR. But that being said, with how all the strategies are going to play out, clean air is going to be really, really important. These cars, especially, unlike the Xfinity cars today were much easier to drive than the Cup cars, just because of whatever they did with the air ducts and all that to the Xfinity cars, bigger spoilers. These cars, though, you get them in the air and forget it. And he doesn't even like being in dirty air to begin with. So
yeah, I
just think they're going to get off sequence. He could very well lead the first segment, 50 laps. It's 12 and a half.
Yeah, 12 and a half for lead laps.
Yeah.
For fast laps. I mean, that's probably around the same thing. So
yeah, so whatever it is. But I don't trust them. I mean, I understand they're going for 3 in a row here. Like, I fully get that. But that's also why people are going to be 50, 60% on him. I will be shocked if I touch 25% of them, to be honest with you. There's only 160 laps anyways, so there's really not a whole lot of dominator points. And I know we kind of said something similar at Pocono, and it just turned out that he led most of the first segment. Jones got him on the second segment, and then he ended up getting back in front in the third segment, which could happen again. But that literally happened perfectly for him when it came to where the yellows were landed and everything. Like, it couldn't have been worse for us being underweight on him in that race. So, again, I'm going to take my chances. I'm going to be underweight because I think place differential and just overall finishing position, but with place differential is the way to go. So that's where I'm at.
I would agree with you. Normally, I've been hammering home Truex because he starts on the pole the past couple weeks. This week it's Kyle Busch. If a guy like Truex, or I'm not sure if anyone was starting first, I would hammer him home. Obviously, Kyle Busch has won the past 2. Everything lines up for him to be 50, 60% on. Just, you look at the recent, the driver ratings, the stats, the practice, the qualifying, Xfinity race, bang, bang, bang. I named like 5 or 6 things right there that say play Kyle Busch and hammer him home. But most people are going to forget that these stages are going to create the drama, like you said. So Can't say much more than that. You nailed everything that I could possibly say. So, that being said, I'm going to touch base on Kyle Larson just for a second. I mean, this is, again, he has problems in qualifying. So, he doesn't like his car too much, but this is Kyle Larson. He didn't like it at all last week, and he almost won the thing. So, whatever he says, if his car's bad, it's a top 5 car. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. His being bad is 5th place right now. So, if you take that with heart and you do not play him, what the heck's the matter with you? His being bad is, a guy like McMurray's his teammate. He's so much better than his teammate. I don't know if it's the car or I think it's the talent. I mean, he's like Dale Jr. pointed out earlier this week. This guy in a couple of years is going to be the best driver in NASCAR, and I firmly do believe that. You can tell it just by the way he wills that thing.
He already is.
You think so?
I do.
Bold statement.
I do.
Yeah, so right there, he can take a bad car, and, I know you touched base on it earlier with equipment and all that. I firmly do think, he could take a bad equipment car and put it in the top 20 or 25. I'd be interested to even see that happen. So,
right.
There's not much more to say. I mean, he starts, I think, 26th, correct?
25th.
25th. The guy's going to be top 10. Don't even think about this. I mean, I don't think he's going to be as chalky as last week, which he should be, I think.
Yeah, he should be.
I can even see him winning this thing just because, he'd catch us off guard. And, last week, I don't think any of us thought he would win. And like if you said it, he had 2 more laps, 3 more laps. He would have won the thing. So,
yeah.
That being said, not much to talk about. No stats needed. Just look at his game log on DraftKings, and that should be good enough for you to pick him.
If you want a stat, he's 3 for 3 in top 10s here in his 3 starts. So
there you go.
Here's your stat. But on we go to – here we go. So it's like last week. This is my favorite GPP play by far. It's Chase Elliott, 9,600, starting 16. Pocono is one of his best tracks in his young career. This place is the most similar kind of to Pocono, but it's obviously a little bit different. By just throwing out practice again, because I don't care, I really don't. This is going to be the guy that sneaks up, and he could be at that level where he could be the first one on pit road, get in that cycle, because if he can work his way up to about 9th or 10th before the end of stage 1, he can get in the pits, knock all the lap down, and he could be the first one out. Kind of similar to how we touched on Eric Jones. I think it really could be Chase Elliott, and I just like him a bunch. Like, I don't – again, I kind of talked about it last week. You can't really guarantee anything. I'd be very shocked if he doesn't finish at least in the top 10. Like, that's almost a mortal lock for me for tomorrow is a top 10 from Chase Elliott. So, just that alone, I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him.
Yep. He's my favorite GPP play too. So if both of us are on it, odds are, we'll probably be right. Because, I mean,
hopefully
we nailed the Eric Jones at Pocono, and I think it benefited a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I've been on Chase. I was on Chase Elliott last week. Obviously, it didn't pay off as much as I would like. But he's just in this – he qualifies 13th through 17th every single week. And one of these weeks, and I do think this week it's either going to be this week or next week where he does lead laps and he's going to shock us. I think he's going to win one of these next couple races. And I wouldn't be surprised, like you said. I think he's by far my favorite GPP play. If he is, I think he may be 30%, which I'll gladly go 40% on him. So,
yep,
love the call there. My next guy, and I don't know why he's 9,900, but it's Kevin Harvick. And if you take a look at track history for the past 2 races here, which I know that's not a lot to go by, but you'll quickly look in the lap sled category, which I know if you look, it's 168 by Kyle Busch. Next is Kevin Harvick, 75. You look at average rating, it's 140.7 Kyle Busch, 119.1 Kevin Harvick. Top 10s. I mean, it's just Kevin Harvick the past 2 years has been the second best driver here. So for me, he starts second. And here's my theory on it. We talked about Chase Elliott. We talked about Eric Jones. But I almost guarantee you that Kevin Harvick is the leader of this second segment when it starts. This is my firm belief, and this is why I may match Kevin Harvick with Kyle Busch. Strictly game theory. And once again, I'm playing house money this week, so I'm doing pretty good at CFL too right now. So hopefully that's carrying me a little bit so I can have some extra dough to play with. But anyway, back to the point. I do think that people are going to realize Kyle Busch has the best car when he's out front. So for me, I know Rodney Childers, he's one of the top 5 crew chiefs, so I keep touching on. These crew chiefs are going to play big roles, and is Kyle Busch's crew chief on the box this week? I feel like he may be. Is he back?
I'm actually not sure.
I'm not complete. It might be Kyle Larson, but I think Adam Stevens is back, so never mind. But for me, I think people are going to realize Kyle Busch has the best car, and I think Rodney Childers is going to say, bring it in here with 3-4 laps to go. My theory is hook him up, get him out there in front, and he's going to lead most of the second segment. That's my theory on it. I know you might think Chase Elliott or one of these other guys may do it, but for me, I'm putting my eggs in this basket. I know it's not safe to do that either, but someone's going to roll the dice early. Kevin Harvick seems to have the second best car, or as I think he's going to have the second best car. He's playing house money. He's already won. So there's all sorts of things he can do. He can be aggressive, and, it could pay off or it could bite him in the butt. But that's my theory. I think he leads the second segment. So for me, an option you could go in GPPs is, put Kyle Busch and stack the front row. I'm sure I'm going to have my fair share of that. If you can fit them 3 with Larson, or them 2 with Larson, I haven't played around with lineups. So you may have to go with one of them punts as I talked all that crap about them. So if that's possible, I'm probably going to have some lineups with those 3. That may be a little mini stack there that I may play around with, as I think those guys could lead 50 laps each. And, who knows who's going to lead the last 60. It might be Chase or it might be one of them other guys. So Kyle Busch is not going to be as good in traffic as we touched on. So who knows? Yeah,
it's doable without punts too.
Is it? All right. I'm definitely going to have my fair share of that. Probably not going to go too heavy because of that last segment is 60 laps, and we may see one of these other guys dominate all 60 laps. You never know. So there you go. I named a little trio there for you guys to play with if you want to mess around with that. I'm going to do that later on, early tomorrow morning. But, that's just game 3 play right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're just going to kind of touch on, kind of everybody else in this top tier. Jimmie Johnson, just so you guys know, is going to the back. He will not be starting 4th. He'll be starting dead last for a gear change. Not the end of the world as far as gear change in car. It's not going to affect him at all, but track position certainly will. I can't play him. I get why. Okay, if you're playing, I guess, 20 or more lineups, one of him is fine.
Yeah.
Because he could get up there. And, again, the strategy thing. They could be right back up there at start stage 2. So, fine. But
it's not the optimal play. And
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it, really.
But here's another thing. This is a guy that has came from the back. He's been sent to the back, and he's won races. So it would not shock me if by the 3rd segment he somehow comes out first and puts us all in the dust and messes my week up. So,
well, make sure you have one of them then.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure, like I said, I'm going to probably enter 20 lineups, and they're all going to be sort of different. If you can't do 20 lineups, if you could only do 3, obviously I wouldn't pick him.
I would
Maybe
not.
5, I don't think I would have him. Now, if you're doing 10, I might throw him in 1. But in my 20, I'm at least going to have 1, maybe 2, just because it is Jimmie Johnson. And once again, this is a strategy race. You got guys like Paul Wolf, Brad Keselowski's crew chief, Chad Canals, Cole Pern, those guys. So, we're going to touch – let's see. Who's next on our list here? Let's just talk – same thing, Brad Keselowski. I think he starts –
11th, I believe.
11th.
Yeah, 11th.
So he could very well be very low owned. He's 9,300, which they keep bumping these Penske guys down. Ryan Blaney's about to catch them in price. So 9,300 is very intriguing. He starts 11th. I'm not going to have too much of him just because at that price, I'm going to go chase Elliott all day, every day. And for 300 more, I'm going Kevin Harvick. So, it's going to be very hard to fit him in. I'm going to have – it's going to be like Jimmie – like I said, I'll keep saying over and over again, I'm going to do the plate-style strategy and just cover my bases with all these guys. Now, obviously, Logano, I just haven't been a big fan of him lately. Kenseth, doesn't he start 14th?
Yep.
So right there is – if I'm not going Chase Elliott, I think Matt Kenseth is probably my next guy that I would consider. I'm probably going to have 20% of him, just depending on how he fits in my lineups. But
he's sneaky.
Yeah, he is very sneaky. And like I said, it's the same thing with Daniel Suarez. These guys are going to be super fast, and they'll all be in the top 10 at some point. Now, whether they finish the race in the top 10, that's to be seen, but that's why you take chances. And he's very well worth the risk at 14th. Your guy, Denny Hamlin, you got any interest in him this week?
Not this week, no. They've shown good speed, and he's pretty good here. But
starting too far up.
Yeah, not really this week. Don't get shut out on Martin Truex, but certainly don't have a bunch. I don't really like him a lot this week. They're kind of chasing it as well. Not a ton, but
they'll definitely be one of the ones that come in early. I'd almost bet anything that they're one of the guys that ruled the dice. So never fade Truex. I'm gonna say it again. I know I joke a lot about the rules and these fake rules that I make up, but one of the top 10, never fade Truex. I say never fade him at intermediate. Just never fade him at all. You save yourself so much mental stress if you don't fade him. So
we've been saying it all year between him and Larson. Yeah. They are by far the 2 best cars, and they're just getting it done.
This week, it seems like they're not going to be a top 5 cars.
Right.
Yeah. Like I said, Kyle Larson, he's going to be up there. I wouldn't be surprised if Truex, I said gambles and leads laps. It's just so crazy of a week. I didn't expect this, the strategy and stuff, but when you see all these starting positions and all the options, and it's all just a mess. And, whoever can, umpire all this trash of a weekend it could be is going to win GPPs. And I love it. I love these kind of weekends. It's similar to, like I said, plate tracks, and we've been very successful at plate tracks this year. And I see no reason why we can't continue this 4-week run and hopefully help you guys win some more GPPs. So we're going to close that out here. As usual, we're going to move on to our DK points and winner. And I'm going to go ahead and let PJ take this over because he put us all to shame last week, and we're going to see if he can go 2 weeks in a row. So who is this guy? You teased it in Slack chat. Teased it earlier. I want to hear your winner first. Who is this surprising winner you have this week?
I think it's just this week he's surprising. Nobody's going to be surprised if he wins. I just think it's this week because it's going to come from – where the heck did that come from? He didn't have any speed, and it's Chase Elliott. I definitely I'm not as confident as I was last week with Denny Hamlin. Like, I was pretty damn confident last week that Denny Hamlin was going to win. I'm not quite there, but I think he gets his first win.
Yeah, no, I picked him last week to win, so he's due for it. If we keep picking him to win these races, it's bound to happen.
Get it eventually.
Yeah, so if I
just like how it's out of left field this week because the whole 1 day practice and qualifying in 1 day, and then it's not even race-like. The whole day today was nothing like the race is going to be. So it's like you can throw that out, and then you just bank on car, talent, everything. And I think he's going to win tomorrow.
Love it. Like I said, it's my favorite GPP play. Your favorite GPP? It's too late. I need some sleep. I've been getting up watching the Open lately, so I need some sleep. But it's our favorite GPP play. For me, I touched base on him earlier, and I said he's going to lead the second segment, and that's Kevin Harvick. I think he's going to get it done this week. I think he's going to let Keelan kiss the bricks this week. His wife's pregnant. What a story this would be. Obviously, this, like we said earlier, this race isn't what it used to be. But I think it's either going to be Kyle Busch or Kevin Harvick. I think it's going to be one of those guys. I don't see Kyle Busch. I think he's going to get locked in traffic, as we keep pointing to. I think it's going to be Kevin Harvick. While I'm at that, I'm going to go ahead and say he has the most DK points because I think he leads all of segment 2. And I think he's going to do something miraculous there in the third segment and leads the last 20 laps. Obviously that's not counting cautions because if there's a late race restart, he's not the guy I want first place. I think he'll get eaten up and chewed up on a late race restart. But if there's no cautions, I like Kevin Harvick, and I think he's going to score the most DK points. Obviously, if not Larson can get up there, and he can lead laps and even – but if we're not talking about Larson, I like Kevin Harvick to score the most DK points as well. So who do you like as DK point?
It's Larson.
Yeah,
just because – yeah, I like Larson. It's Larson. Just because I think the laps led are going to get spread out a little bit where one guy can't really dominate. So I think he's going to have the most place differential with a top 5 finish. So it's just that simple.
So who would you pick? Who's next on the list?
Other than Larson?
Yeah.
Chase Elliott.
Yep, right there. So, he starts.
I like Chase a lot. A lot. Same situation pretty much as last week. Not as confident, but it's kind of right up there.
Yep. Well, that's going to close it out, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Last week was so phenomenal. I cannot wait for this race tomorrow. Obviously, it's going to be a great sports day. You got the Open final round. You got the Brickyard 400. Can't think of anything tomorrow, but I'm sure I'll find something to do. But just a great sports day in general. I'll be up early watching golf. Then it's going to lead me right into racing. I'll build my lineups while watching golf. So setting up for a great day. Again, we are Fantasy Degen NASCAR analysts. You can catch all of our info and stuff in the Slack chat. As low as $9.99 a month. That's the lowest package. Sign up there. You get all our expert information. Ask us anything. We answer it. Throw questions in on Twitter too. We'll answer as many as we can. We have the same guys ask us questions every week. We're going to continue to do that. Leave comments in the YouTube. I've been checking that more and more lately as you guys keep commenting. As always, subscribe to the channel. And again, we're up to 132. If we could get to 150 before mid-August, that'd be awesome. And I think that's obviously doable because it's the 22nd of July. So,
yeah,
let's do it. It's growing quick, and we're growing. We've taken our games to the next level. But I can't say it enough. The Fantasy Degens crew last week. If you were not part of that Slack chat. It was on fire. The questions, the info, the picks. I mean, everything was aligned last week and had
Yeah.
GP winners again. We're on a solid row here. I think it's 3 in a row. So head over there and check it out. I highly recommend it. And the tools, the roster gen. I mean, Rob, the owner, he's constantly giving us great tools. I mean, he's constantly improving the site, and he works his tail off, and it's a great product. I'm very happy to be part of the team. I know PJ is happy as well. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's growing. And, with the fantasy draft stuff, if you guys didn't check that out, head over, check the podcast out. It's with the Fantasy Draft CEO. I can't think of his name right off the bat, which I should know that. I've listened to that podcast twice now. But just great info. If check the suite tickets up at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, there's going to be a contest. If you guys want to be a part of that, use the Fantasy Degens fantasy draft link. I'm going to try to do my best to drop that link in the description below. If you have not already deposited on Fantasy Draft, we would love to get to 500 new depositors, obviously, and that's going to help grow even Fantasy Draft considering NASCAR contests. So if you love Fantasy NASCAR and you want to see it on other sites other than DraftKings, this will go huge. This is huge implications on NASCAR on Fantasy Draft. And Fantasy Draft's a wonderful site. If you've not played over there, I highly encourage it. Their payouts are a whole lot better than DraftKings most weekends on football and baseball. And, if you're just an average DFS player, it might be the better site for you. So highly encourage you to go check out the podcast on fantasydegens.com. Highly encourage you to sign up for Fantasy Draft. Like I said, I'm going to try my best to get the link in the description below. I think that's it. I've covered a lot of information here the past 3 minutes. My head's swirling, so
We're
think
good.
that's it. Do you have any last closing comments before we head out here?
Just enjoy the race tomorrow. Don't check your DraftKings winnings till the end of the race because it's just going to be crazy. Unless, Kyle Busch fools us all and doesn't care about stage points and pits early himself. That's really the only way that I can't see this getting a little wild. But you can't imagine he's going to do that if he's running away with the stage and going to get a playoff point. You wouldn't assume. But that's, to me, the only way that this doesn't get jumbled up. So it's going to be a fun race, I hope. Dirty air is tough, so it'll be interesting to see those guys coming back through the field if that is what happens. So I just hope it's a good race. I like the Xfinity race today. I liked what they did. Not so much the restrictor play. I don't want that on the Cup cars, but what they did with the aero stuff, that was nice. The guys are able to suck up and draft and kind of do some different things that they weren't in the past. I think last year there was only 2 lead changes. There was 18 today, so that's much better. That's what everybody wants to see. So hopefully it's a good race. Hopefully it's a good day. If we can get another $20,000 plus win for Fantasy Degens, that would be awesome. That's the goal. So good luck, everybody. Enjoy your days. Enjoy the race, and hopefully we make some money.
Exactly what he said. I'll reiterate it. I said, if you got any questions, head over to fantasydegens.com, sign up, get in our Slack chat. Wonderful. Like I said, I'm killing Canadian football right now, and I don't know crap about it. So, what else do you need to know? You got great experts. Take the time, answer your questions, and got a wonderful dashboard that breaks it down for the non-DFSers, first-time users. Great tools. So that being said, good luck, best of luck, and hopefully we make you guys some money. Have a good one, guys.
Good luck, guys.